What's going on, guys? In this video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be taking you back and I'm going to be talking you through all the hairstyles that I've had throughout my life. Some of them good, some of them bad, some of them completely indifferent in between. But I am a massive believer that every single guy should play around and find different hairstyles in order to work out what it is that best suits them. That's exactly what I did, and that's exactly what I'm going to be talking you through in this video. Okay, picture number one, baby Alex. Handsome guy, right? No, I don't think so. Not when I look at this picture. As you can see, my hair's wavy. A little bit curly, but not very curly. And this makes a lot of sense. My dad's got completely straight hair, and my mum's got very curly hair. So my hair kind of averages out as a sort of wave in between. I used to hate my hair type when I was young. I used to go to school and all the other boys used to tell me that my curly hair was feminine and that I looked like a girl. Now, when you get older, you look back and you realise that that's not the case, and you realise that that type of criticism doesn't mean anything. But when you're 6, 7, 8 years old, you don't have that confidence, so you do take things to heart. But looking back, I'm okay with this hair, and I think that you can really see how this hair has kind of led to this hair. Obviously my hair's lighter in that picture and it's got darker as I've got older, but I think the wave pattern and I think the texture's probably largely stayed the same. So in this photo, I am 16 years old. I've just finished school and I'm about to start college. I remember at that moment in time, I had one thing that I was focused on. I wanted to be an absolute lady killer when I started at college. Hands up, absolutely no success, and I did not reach my goal. In fact, when I look at this picture, the one thing that really screams out to me is virgin energy. This picture just screams virgin energy, which makes a lot of sense. I'm 16 years old, I'm a virgin, and I've never really come close to doing anything with a girl at that moment in time. And I think you can really tell by the look. The haircut itself, it's not so bad. It's kind of a messy quiff. I've obviously used the natural wave in my hair to kind of get the quiff and get it to go back. It's okay. It doesn't look too dated, but it really just looks like someone that's really just beginning to start out with their hairstyling. I absolutely hate the beads that I've got around my neck, and I absolutely hate the beads that I'm wearing around my wrist. So that aspect makes this whole picture just look very dated, and that Levi's t-shirt as well looks very dated too. But the hair is probably the thing that's the least bad in this picture. In the next photo, I am 19 years old, and I have really discovered exactly what it is like to be a pretty boy. As you can see, my hair is completely straight, and the reason for this is that I've discovered GHD hair straighteners. And I think at this moment in time, I'm probably using those hair straighteners every single day. And I think my hair's actually began to get that slightly burnt look and that slightly electrocuted look that guys' hair can get when they use hair straighteners on it a lot. I've also discovered wet look gel, so it's kind of got this very forced look with this very greasy looking quiff. This at the time was actually a really trendy and actually a really current look, but this also really for me just represents how quickly times and fashion can change, because I think within about 2 years that look was dated already. You can also see as well that I've got my polo shirt tucked in, another thing that was very fashionable to do at the time, and another thing that now looks completely dated at the time. This photo was around about 2009, and I think you can really tell that. There's absolutely nothing about my look, there's absolutely nothing about my style that really screams current, and I think if you saw a guy with his hair like that and a guy dressed like that, you would think that he was in the wrong period in time. So this next photo is only about 6 months on, and I remember I just got to a point where I was fed up with using JHDs and fed up with using hair products every single day. So I've kind of gone to this low top fade. Now I don't hate it, and I actually think some guys are beginning to get their hair cut like this. It's almost slightly reminiscent of the current modern trend for guys getting French crops, in terms of the way the fringe is cut and the rest of the hair kind of matches in with it. It's not bad. I don't think I'd be excited to have my hair like this again, but I don't think that I particularly would hate to have my hair like this again. I just would kind of sit as indifferent to it in between. The main thing that really stands out as being dated in this picture is that studded earring that I've got on. Studded earrings around about 2009, 2010 in the UK were very fashionable. And as you can see, I've still got my ear pierced now, but it was just a different look. Back then it was all about the studded earrings and it was all about the fake bling. And that's exactly what this look represents. So I think the haircut's fine, but the pierced ear and the way that I'm wearing that earring is absolutely not, and makes the look very, very dated. The next photo is round about a year on, and as you can see, I've grown my hair out into this kind of modern comb over. Again, this is fine. This is a look that I think most people have now, and this is a look that I don't think really is actually good or bad. It's just a very passable way to wear your hair. What really stands out to me about this picture though is the tan. And this coincides around about 2010, where I really discovered tanning, both in terms of from the bottle, but also in terms of going on tanning beds. Neither of which I'd recommend any guy should do now, because I just think they make you look too metrosexual. And I think actually this photo screams metrosexual. Again, there's no disrespect to metrosexuality, because we're all pretty metro now, but I think overtly wearing it with tanning products in the way that I have done in this picture just doesn't look good. This also coincides with the time as well where I was really modelling my style on Cristiano Ronaldo. And to be fair, at the time I actually used to get a fair few people make that comparison to me. Probably because of the hair and probably because of the tan. So the hair is fine. The shirt is unbuttoned a little bit too much than it should be, but it's not awful. But it's just the tan that makes that look dated, and it's just the tan that makes that person in that picture really feel like a completely different person to me now. The next photo is round about 2 years on, and this coincides with the time where I've just finished uni and I'm actually beginning to start full-time work. And I remember wanting my style to really reflect that. So this is very much a young professional type of haircut. A haircut that's fairly nondescript, fairly neat, and actually would blend in most kind of situations. It's not bad. It's really just grown out. It's really just a grown out comb over from the last picture. So again, I don't think many people would have a problem with this haircut. And as I look at this haircut, I don't have a problem with it. It just very much suits where I was at the time. I was working in digital marketing and I wanted to look presentable, and I wanted to look like the type of person that a company would be proud to send to a meeting. And I think that's really what the look represents. The school shirt that I'm wearing is terrible. I don't know why I'm wearing a plain shirt, but the hair is fine. And it's really the type of haircut that I think any guy could really pull off, and really the type of haircut that I don't think any guy would really have a problem with at all. This next haircut, however, is absolutely terrible, and I think is probably the worst haircut I've ever sported. As you can see, it is an attempt at a skin fade. However, it is just skin and then hair. There is absolutely no fade and there is absolutely no blend going on at the same time. I remember taking a photo of a guy that I'd found on Instagram into the barber, and my barber just looked at it and was just like, I don't want to do that haircut, it's going to look bad. But I just pushed through, I persevered, I made him do it, and this is the result. It doesn't work in any way, shape or form. It really just shows too strong a disconnect between the sides and too strong a disconnect between the top. The ironic thing though is around about 2016 time, skin fades and disconnected haircuts were very in fashion, and actually it became very fashionable to have a very hard fade. So I think if I'd waited, this haircut probably would have looked okay, but it really looks awful in this picture. You can also see as well from the picture that I am beginning to fill out. I've put on a little bit more muscle and I've put on a little bit more fat. And I have to say that I actually quite like that look. I feel I look like a type of person that spends a lot of time in the gym. However, whilst I was obviously spending time in the gym at the time, I was also eating a lot. And it really coincided with the point where I was eating pizza most weekends. So that probably didn't aid the overall look, and it probably made the haircut look worse. I've also, as well as you can see in that picture, lost a bit of definition in my face as well. But the overall look isn't bad, it's just a truly, truly, truly terrible haircut, and one that I would recommend no guy ever tries to replicate, and one that I would never even think about trying to replicate again. The next photo is 2 years on, and I've grown out the sides and I've slicked it back. As you can see, I'm sitting in front of an Olivier Giroud shirt back when he was an Arsenal player, and this actually was a time where I was obsessed and modelled my style on Olivier Giroud. I really like the combination that he had then of the beard with the slick back, and that was the look that I tried to recreate. I don't think it looks bad. I actually think it's a look that I wore relatively well. And I actually remember then going to a tour of the Arsenal ground, and I remember seeing Nigel Winterburn there, and I just felt very, very like connected with everything that I was kind of trying to do with my style, hence why I've got the photo in front of the Giroud shirt. But this look is fine. This is one that I would happily go back to. Again, it's not one that I'd be excited to go back to, but it's one that I think it's passable. It's completely workable. And I think a slick back haircut is something that every guy should try at some point in their life, because in a lot of cases, I think it's one that can really aid a guy's overall look. This next haircut is, I think, one of my least favourite on the list. It's actually ironically very similar to the photo that I started off first with when I was 16 years old, in terms of it's the very short quiff. Again, this photo to me actually screams virgin energy. I just think I look very innocent, very pure, and I just don't like that. I don't like looking like that, and I don't like that my look represents that. This photo was taken on the day that I was best man at my best friend's wedding, And I remember being very keen to have a haircut the day before because I wanted to look fresh and I wanted to look really, really polished for the day. But actually, when I look at photos of the day before, my hair looked way better before this haircut. And it was actually on this day as well that I began to think I want to grow my hair out and I want to try longer hair. I just don't think this look really suits me. I don't like the virgin energy that the picture gives off, and I just think it's too neat, it's too respectable, and that just isn't who I am as a person, and that just isn't what my look is all about. So I think for that reason, this is probably my least favourite look, minus the last one, of all the ones that I've spoken about so far. This next photo is 6 months on, and this is right where I begin growing it. This isn't bad. This is kind of the first time that my sides have really grown out and got any noticeable length. And I've also grown some stubble with it as well, which I think is a pretty good look. This was actually the photo that I used to use on dating apps a lot of the time, and it used to get pretty good results as well. So I think that this is a look that landed relatively well with people. And I think if I was to go back to a medium length haircut, this would probably be the type of look that I'd have. I don't think I'd have it in this exact style, but I think this overall look is fine. And I think that this was a good moment for me because this is when I got detached from the idea that men's haircuts needed to have short sides, which I think is something that a lot of you guys probably think and a lot of you guys probably feel. But I think that at the time as well, this was before I really knew what the awkward phase was like during hair growth. And I remember thinking that if this is what it looks like, I'm only going to continue to look better and better and better. However, as the next photo shows you, that was not the case. The awkward phase is something that you never really appreciate until you get there. And the awkward phase is really something that impacts and hits every single guy differently on account of their hair type. My hair's wavy, so my hair was going out rather than growing down. And that's exactly what this photo looks like. I don't like it. I would never return to this look. But I have to say that when I actually look back at it, yes, it's the awkward phase, but it doesn't look as bad as I remember it looking. And I think that should probably serve as comfort for a lot of you guys that are currently stuck in the awkward phase. So now we've got two photos which are really me at the first point that I began to enjoy having long hair. So it's about the same length that it is now, maybe a tiny bit shorter. And this is the first time that I've had the balayage done. And you can also see that I've got my nose pierced and I'm sporting more tattoos as well. This is where I really began to connect with how masculine long hair made me feel and how much I just really began to enjoy the overall look. I also think it's funny that I'm wearing a Puma t-shirt in Beverly Hills. Puma in the UK has got a reputation for being little more than a sports brand, and Beverly Hills is obviously known as being one of the most luxurious areas in the world. So there's a disconnect in terms of how I'm dressed versus where I am, but I think I look good and I actually like this look, and I think that hair shade that I've got there is much better than the blonde that I've got now. So overall this is good, and overall this is a look that I was really happy to have. And this takes us to where we're at now, which is the undercut. Obviously, of course, you can't see the undercut there because I've got my hair loose. But I have to say, I'm a big fan of the undercut. I know not everybody is, and some guys may wonder why I grew my hair long and then went to an undercut. But for me, I just wanted to. For me, I just wanted to spice up my look. And I've said that before. I get bored and I always want to try different things. So the undercut was what I went to. I'll be honest now, some of you guys have said it and I've definitely felt it since I had it done. I don't like the shade of blonde that my hair is, and I'm going to be going back to a more natural looking colour very soon. But I have to say, the journey from short to long is very interesting, and the haircuts that I've had in between, both in terms of the quiffs and the pretty boy looks and the general kind of low top fades as well, they've all been okay and they've all felt relevant at the time. So it makes me wonder how I feel about my long hair when I look back at it. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I say, very different to what I normally talk about in terms of the way I do it. But I think it's been interesting, and I hope that for all of you guys it serves as a reminder just to try different things with your look and to not be afraid to try different things with your style, because you may really like the result, and if it looks bad, it probably doesn't look as bad as you think it does. But if you like this video, please can I ask you to click like and subscribe down below. If you really liked it, I'm also offering one-on-one coaching at the website down below. But as always guys, nothing but love. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.